Today is uh, Wednesday, April the 11th. My name is Robert T. Green. I'm the CEO of Pre-Post Game, and welcome to the African American Athlete um, podcast presented by Pre-Post Game, sponsored by the African American Athlete, Mr. Ricky Hampton and Mr. Michael Robinson. Join them on Tuesdays from 10 p.m. Eastern Standard Time to 11 p.m. as they discuss topics of the African American athlete from the past, present, and the future. We'd like to bring you this podcast every Wednesday to talk about sports is not a game, sports is all business. For the next hour, we'll be covering the topics you see on the side of the screen from 1 through 4. Going from the culture of college and what goes on. I'll speak about my personal experiences to explain what really goes on to the parents when they may be going through this process soon. Also, a quarterback from the University of Michigan, current quarterback named Shea Patterson, and his appeal process thus far in the NCAA. And then also, as well as a couple things from the NFL and vice versa. So, once again, I want to thank Mr. Ricky Hampton for having me on here. How you doing, Mr. Hampton? He'll be taking your questions live. So if you have questions, please share with him those questions. I'll try to answer those questions to the best of my knowledge as long as I possibly can. And again, this is going to be somewhat of a serious day regarding the topics we're going to discuss, because there's a lot of things that go into college sports that's not addressed and aren't discussed and really aren't understood in the grand scheme of things when it comes to the athlete psyche, what goes into it, but also what's really athletes being set up to do perspective-wise pertaining to some of these things. This includes the sexual assault. This includes the rape case. Obviously, we know about Michigan State and Mr. Larry Nassar and the Olympic model with all those young females. And again, at the end of the day, I said yesterday, it's not just Michigan State. It's not just the players. It's the culture. And I want to try to explain and teach people about exactly what goes into the athletic culture when you have to try to convince a kid or move them along and to try to encourage them or coerce them, if you will, to go to the actual university. So again, I thank you guys for having me here, and again, I appreciate you at this time. So let's just get started with it. So the culture of college athletics. What is it? How do you create it? How was it created, and what is it built upon? I know a lot of people, families included, you look at your social media sites, you'll see young men putting up graphics wearing jerseys or gloves or signs, or they doing things like this with the glove with the university, and then signaling and logo, and says it's giving free marketing regarding this is what goes into it. You hear about the kids taking unofficial visits versus official visits. I'll cover that on another topic, another date, regarding how that's supposed to work and how that actually works. But also at the same time, you see scenarios where you see young men taking pictures with the coaches of that said university, whether they end up going there or not. That picture is forever. At the end of the day, it can be used as a tool to market or to try to basically enhance or recruit other people from that exact area from there. So again, but as a highly rated recruited athlete, there's a lot of other things that go into it that the parents aren't aware of, and specifically a lot of young men who come from areas. If you want to know how college athletics became what it was and how they were able to push this so-called free education agenda, they plant their actual seeds, their recruiting tools, their resources in areas where minorities, in particular rural areas, people that families basically not being raised by either a single parent mom or grandmother who may have a second or third grade education at best. In essence, when you come in and you tell that kid and that grandmother or that parent that you're going to give a kid a scholarship, even though you never asked what a scholarship essentially is also now a way to do something that a kid, for example, or their family may never even attended college before. So in essence, you feel like you done made it, but really not know what goes into it, what it consists of, and actually, end of the day, is it going to benefit you from the long term? It's a lot of athletes that go through this process that they tell you to trust that end up right back where they started between 3 to 4 years later. In essence, actually, a lot of them end up right back where they started within a year due to injury, due to coach changing, leaving based off their rules is already set up, and then the next coach come in, basically taking your scholarship or dismissing you or finding a way to set you up to want you to leave. I'll cover that a little bit later. But at the end of the day, for those highly rated athletes, at the end of the day, when you talk about what's going to appeal you to go to that school, once you get on that campus, again, we all know, and if we don't know, the NCAA is a 501c3 organization, which means it's a not-for-profit. So they get money from the government, if you will, and also through taxpayers to actually fund their programs, and whether it's the buildings that they build. Again, when people talk about scholarships, they don't realize a lot of that money that goes into scholarship donated from their actual alumni that are already rich. So it's not like all of a sudden you're looking for money that just came out of nowhere. So when, again, the gripe or the argument from other people is saying that I have $100,000 in school loans and they should be happy to go to school for free, you really don't understand how much money these young men and women are generating for that said university. Not only they're generating it, but at the same time, it's not like they need that money to actually pay for the bills. The bills are coming from the people that already generated the money and gave it back to the university for their tax deductions, being a not-for-profit organization. Up to 2018, before Trump changed the tax reforms, many people used to buy their what they call in NFL PSLs, personal seating licenses, but in colleges it's different. So basically, if you was to contribute or buy season tickets, that tickets are deductions for your tax write-off. Many people don't know or understand that. So again, as much money that's coming in, that's basically continue to build these big-time stadiums or lounges or whatever it may be from there. In essence, you think that a kid is getting the best education, he's getting the best opportunity to do certain things to put them in a situation where they may have the opportunity to go pro. Once again, the factual numbers is 1% go pro. And the rest of those guys, you still need 99% of those guys to actually make this operation work, which is still $1 billion operation. So I am a former highly recruited athlete out of high school, one that came from that area, said hood, that didn't have a lot of family support and backing. And at the end of the day, from my knowledge of what college stood for and what it was about, I was not recruited on or talked about how I can get out of the hood and receive a bachelor's degree or potentially a master's degree in some type of actual department, whether it's math or education or become a teacher. I wasn't even asked what I want to do when I grew up outside of basically playing football. And because of that nature, the things that were told to me and explained to me and shown to me was, again, the program, how they won, some of their facilities, how much fun it would be to be on campus, how the fact that, again, if I came there, even though I was a Division I prospect, if I was to go to a certain school, that literally no matter what, that said coach was going to help get me to the next level to play in the National Football League. Those are the things that were harped on repeatedly. It was not only harped on repeatedly, but the other recruits that were with me, it was made known to me that I was the cream of the crop, or that class, if you will, because at the end of the day, even though there were some of them with Division I transfers, they spent so much time trying to convince me, tell me how much they love me, how that is a perfect fit, all these different things that a young man that you never felt before and understood, but you want to actually kind of believe them, because once again, coming from where we come from, we never see anything like that. So again, you're talking about creating a product, if you will, in business to basically support or basically promote an agenda to create something that without those actual kids, it would not exist. And because it wouldn't exist, they can just throw things out there such as free education, such as scholarship, acronyms such as NLI, and then basically do 7 to 8 months of recruiting and yet don't speak anything of what goes into these actual agreements and contracts till a half hour before they need you to sign it and have it faxed back off to the NCAA compliance department. It's a disgrace. At the end of the day, like I said before, no disrespect, but in 2018, parents and their athletes and their kids cannot protect themselves. They cannot vet, they cannot audit, they cannot interview these colleges. It don't even matter if it's Division I or Power 5. It could be 2 or 3. These coaches can actually, and it's been done, like I'm talking about my own personal experience, they can push something in front of your face and tell you it's a scholarship, but in essence, it's a loan, a federal loan that goes to Sally Mae. Because once again, it's not telling you to read it through. They're not reading it to you, going through it. They're just pointing to where you sign at. And then, like I said, as soon as you sign that signature, you have coaches that's in this industry that will literally tell the kid at the end of the day, you're not here to go to school, you're here to play football. You have coaches that will tell a kid that literally, I'm going to be here regardless. I'm getting my check. I don't care what happens to y'all. So at the end of the day, you're talking about grown men, adults, and institutions that literally, once they get these young men and women in these certain environments, that now they're the only thing between them and being successful in that school is the people that hired them, that literally only there to make money off of those same kids. And they would quickly disbar, discredit, or get rid of the kid if that kid was to basically create waves. Waves meaning like protect their own best interest. This is why I, as a players rep, is here. This is why my company Pre-Post Game is here. Because as an adult, as a former athlete, professional, I can also advise, critique, and also protect the athlete in that actual business. No, we do not condone an 18, 19-year-old to argue with a grown man in an institution that it can use against you to cost you your scholarship. But we also know that those same people that's basically yelling and screaming, bullying, or disparaging that kid, that's not right either. And at the end of the day, up to this point in time, there's never been a resource that was willing to actually advocate or protect them in this business. For those who don't know about sports, you can watch it all day long. Sports is about two things in this country. It always has been, always will be. It's about selling tickets and recruiting. The thing is this. For those that are going to sell tickets, they need these actual athletes to buy in to their system. And how they do that, they basically find the biggest, baddest one that's there. They give him a certain amount of entitlement, if you will, to make him feel like, again, without him, nothing else moves. And because of that mindset, again, some of these young men in particular, so we're talking about the culture of college and what happens when you have guys that all of a sudden now when they go on a recruiting trip, and I go back to the time where, again, they're telling you that everything you want to hear, not what you need to know. Then you have 3 or 4 girls following you around all day long, smiling at you. You ain't never met them before. But they have intentions of doing 3 things when you go on that recruiting trip. 1, sex. Again, if anybody doesn't understand, a top-rated athlete that's going to a college on a recruiting trip is going to be coerced to have sex. There's going to be females out there that's willing to do so. These females have been around for years. They've been around for recruiting classes, and they go along with the actual team. Whether it's an unspoken word or rule or not, every athlete that's highly rated knows exactly what I'm talking about. Secondly, drugs. A lot of these young men come through high school when they got offered their college scholarships, and they was already getting high. A lot of these universities know they were getting high before they even signed their national letter of intent. In essence, when they get to that school, if they start to fail drug tests, they basically don't make it known publicly, knowing that as long as they can use that kid and use that against them till they decide they don't want to use them anymore, then that'll be what it is. And the last thing is sex, drugs, and alcohol. Again, going back to my own personal experience, as a junior college transfer at 21 years old, I never drank alcohol, beer, nothing. Never smoked in my life. But when I got on one of these recruiting trips, the first time I drank in my life is when I got on a recruit trip. And unfortunately, as a young man who didn't know really what was going on to this, that same recruiting trip where I drank is where I ended up signing my national letter of intent and commitment. Biggest mistake of my life. I don't regret anything because it allowed me to learn and grow from where I'm doing from here. But at the end of the day, when you look back on why did you make those decisions, once again, no, I did not smoke, but smoke was around me. Sex, yes, that did happen. That absolutely did happen. Not once, not twice, not 3 times on that trip. Ask me as a 21-year-old kid that don't have anything coming to it, has that ever happened to me before? Absolutely not. So as a kid, I felt like I was a king of all kings. And during that entire trip, like I said, we had, things going on. Basketball team was playing. The crowd was just crazy. It was like nothing about education or free education came across on that trip to me. When I got back, when I made that commitment, it still was nothing about education. So when you talk about what's going on in Michigan State, and again, talking about this Larry Nassar situation or this other young man that was accused of raping a girl was asked to be silenced. Once again, when you basically create that culture that as athletes, they are supposed to have sex with women when they come to school, and part of that process of actually recruiting them is through that process. But then when these athletes now believe that's the way it's always going to be, they don't know how to recognize signs about she likes you, she don't like you. These same universities who care about education, they're not educating these men on what sexual assault is, meaning like we know that all these universities have areas where, hey, all these kids aren't 21 years old. Yet every Friday night, just go to a college campus. You're going to see nothing but drunk kids falling all over the place. And then the police can decide which one they want to give a citation to, which one they want to lock up, which one they want to, if it's an athlete, to put on the news tomorrow. Which one, who wants to call the coach and say, hey, coach, we got your guy, but we're not going to tell anybody. Just tell him to watch out. You didn't help that young man. You just set that kid up for a bigger failure going forward. But what is the coach going to say? That's how we got him to come to school here in the first place. He didn't come from me. I'm not doing nothing to make him better. 99% of these kids that go through these college levels, that whether in the NBA, NHL, MLB, NFL, will be going to the National Football League regardless of what school they go to, regardless of what uniform they want to put on, regardless of what coach that they play for. In essence, a lot of these coaches get to recruit these kids, and when they get them recruited, these kids actually give these coaches an ability to get another job, to go somewhere else, to make millions. And these coaches know that going in, unbeknown to any of these kids or their families. And then the saddest part of it, again, once you sign that national letter of intent in college, the same parents, what you had to talk to all day long, you wanted to communicate, you want them to meet with this person, meet with that person. There's schools that literally hire teachers. And again, we're talking about African-American athlete radio talk show. This is what we are right now. I know of facts of, again, because this is what we do every day at pre-post game. For the guys you don't know, you can check us out at prepostgame.com. Literally, they would hire teachers of African-American descent, had them speak to those kids during their recruiting process. And essentially, after 6 months, once that kid enrolled, that same person that was hired and now supposed to be teaching that kid that was using that recruiting process is now fired. Unbeknown, no notice given to the parent, no notice given to the kid, no nothing. They have your signature now. That's why sports is not a game. Sports is all business. And so when you talk about, again, the culture of these colleges, and in the same way when I talk about the Larry Nassar situation or the basketball situation, there are more people around this actual institution and this NCAA that know what this is all about. So when they say they didn't know, it's impossible for all those young females in college to go through what they go through and not nobody from the school, or not anyone from the school, understand what was going on. And then usually when one of them speaks up, so again, just like those females, if an athlete was to speak up, those people in there are now shamed or found a way to get rid of them in their scholarship and make them look bad because they don't have any advocates. Again, selling tickets and recruiting. The fact of the matter is, let's see how Michigan State's recruiting ends up over the next 2 years. As the players, I'm telling you, it's going to drop dramatically, as it should. The NCAA like to throw that word out there called institutionalized control. There is none. There's things that go on in these universities that the NCAA either are oblivious to or they're not willing to know. It's no different than the senator asking Mark Zuckerberg, well, how do you actually do this? What is this actually? How does it actually work? But they're running everything. They're not capable. They don't want to be capable. Their model of basically dealing with the uneducated and unprepared has made them billions of dollars for decades. They have employed former athletes and coaches after things have been done to them in the same exact manner. And once they figure out, turn around and now pay them pennies to the dollar to turn around and do it to the same exact kids after them. There's a reason why in this country that when it comes to sports, that those that make the most money and the leverage where they come from is from the youngest athlete. Yes, your body is the strongest. It hasn't been injured yet. You don't know much. So I can create a contract. I can create a document. I can tell you what to do and how to do it. And most of them are just happy to be there. If any of you scholars on this lovely show right now, I know you guys all around, go look at the McDonald's All-American game. Go look at the Under Armour All-American game and tell me how many kids that said in the next 3 to 4 years I'm taking my talents to, when Under Armour made all that money and they did that huge promotion, how many of those kids are in college right now in their sophomore year? This from 2 years ago. I'm willing to bet you less than 50%. But you're still talking about free education. But even when that free education model you're talking about, if you really want to talk about free education, do you not realize specifically when it comes to basketball and football, the biggest generating sports, that literally every top-rated athlete that's going to get drafted in this upcoming NFL draft as an underclassman is gone less than 3 years. Not only is he gone, but he did not get his degree. This model has been known. It's been going on. So once again, if it's about education, why aren't you ensuring that they get their degree, knowing that they have ability to leave in 3 years or less, and knowing that those same kids that you say is about education are not getting their degrees? NBA, one and done. All those kids that was under NCAA investigation, all declared for the draft. NCAA is happy, but they already knew what was going on. They're a part of it. They talk about the runners and the things like that that go on. The runners are employed by the NCAA and the universities. I can go on and on and in depth if you want to, but the fact of the matter is there's a lot of things that happen. When you talk about conflict of interest, when you have agents that represent coaches, who represent players, who represent trainers, who represent the medical staff, who come from one professional sport, they go back to the collegiate sport, and they go all transfer. So when you talk about sources now, all of a sudden you got the Adam Schefters and the Ian Rappaports of the world saying sources say. If the players and the families knew who the sources were, the sources are the GMs. The sources are the trainers. The sources are your teammates. Because everybody not going pro. But you know what? You may not be going pro, but since your roommate is going pro, if you can get me his number and get a meeting with him and you can get his ear, guess what? I have a spot on my agency for you. Sports is not a game. Sports is all business. And then you turn around and you want to talk about how this school is covering this up, this school's covering it up. Like I said before, it's not just the players. I know for a fact, I've seen college coaches dealing with fumbling over, drunk, stumbling, young females on campus. Yes, I was once a student athlete. I observed and witnessed all these things. Again, it's not just Michigan State. So when you continue to put these kids in a situation where they look like they are criminals, they are just out of control, they just this, they just that, you're not doing anything to develop their character no further than you develop your own character. If every other word to that kid is F this and F you and this and that, you ain't this, you ain't that, you call that coaching. I call that a bully. It's easy to do when you're dealing with a kid because you're getting a salary, and at the end of the day, who's that kid going to call? Sports is not a game. Sports is all business. It's not just the players. It's not just Michigan State. Again, at the end of the day, if you want to change this culture, stop allowing females that are out there that know these kids are coming on campus to actually have sex with players to coerce them to continue university. Stop acting like you don't understand that that's going on. Stop acting like you don't understand when you put this money in their hand, this not-for-profit cash in this other recruit's hand or this other teammate's hand, when he takes this other kid out and this kid wants to get high and drunk, don't understand, act like you don't know where that taxpayer money is going to get him to go to that school, to get you a bonus. Mr. Hampton, great point. He wanted just to transition over to, again, just to close that out, that at the end of the day, the culture of the sports is not what it always appears to be. So once again, you got to be aware and diligent and understand that at the end of the day, know what's going on before you commit to something. Know why you committed to something and understand the repercussions of doing certain things a certain way if you don't get it fixed from there. But like I said, Mr. Hampton wanted to talk about Mr. Darius Baisley deciding to go to the G League, make $26,000 a year versus going to Syracuse, which, again, Syracuse was his choice, and he was also their top recruit process and prospect, also potential lottery pick within 1 year. Like I tell everybody else before, at the end of the day, college isn't for everyone. What I think about, him going to the G League is fine. Again, for a kid to understand what he is trying to get himself into, when people say that he should go get his education, once again, you don't know what the actual education entails in these colleges. A lot of these classes are set up to get these kids to get A's and B's. Taking something such as health and exercise science or recreational or general university studies. That's not a top-notch education. That's not something that's going to help this kid get a 6- and 7-figure job. And no, is $26,000 a lot of money? No. But I want to clarify to people about my take and my position on when they say that the G League or the NBA is exploiting these athletes. I disagree wholeheartedly. This is why, as I say all the time, sports is not a game in all business. When it comes to a professional sport, regardless of what they're going to pay you, you understand what you get when you go into it. You're getting paid to play basketball. So again, playing basketball, if they paid you $10, $26,000, or $20 million, the leverage comes from how good you are as an athlete, how you perform on that actual court, and how healthy your body is and what you do on that court. It also depends on how you basically can make sure you don't create what we call in business headline risk for that actual organization that you're actually hiring you. At the end of the day, if there was more money, if the G League had better players, then that salary would go up. If the need was there, it would go up. For example, so again, let's just say Darius Baisley is the first one, but not the last. Let's say the entire top 25 kids decide to go, or the 64 kids decide to go to the JBA, Junior Basketball Association, headed up by LeVar Ball, and the other 26 or whatever is go to the G League. Once again, now that creates competitive market. At the end of the day, somebody's going to have to pay more. Since the NCAA is not paying at all, talking about their free education, they're going to lose millions and billions of dollars to the G League and to the JBA. Now, what's going to happen is one of those two leagues are going to decide to put more money into it because they know that's the future of their actual game. Those same athletes, instead of going to the NBA, going to the NCAA, are now going to other places. And then, in essence, now they're going to be end up in the NBA soon. But who's going to get them first? Who's going to get that sponsorship money? Who's going to get that opportunity to put those sneakers in front of those kids first? And that's what it's all about. So, again, I wholeheartedly agree with Mr. Darius Baisley. If he goes to the G League and all of a sudden he plays 2 or 3 years, but then all of a sudden he makes the NBA and he's now 20, 21, he plays 3 years in the NBA. Let's say he plays 3 years, max. He comes up with $3 million. He's now 24, 25. Mr. Baisley can still go back to the University of Syracuse University, get the education he wants, be more mature, know what he has to do now. He done made his money. His body is now going in the opposite direction. His leverage is no longer there. You don't want to spend the best years of your leverage in sports, and specifically sports that generate revenue, trying to go somewhere where literally you want the NCAA to make more money off of you than you can make for yourself. That's not smart. That's not education. Once again, when you're talking to kids and families with second and third grade education, you can push that agenda all you want. This is 2018. The classes that you go into, like I said, at the end of the day, I went to school. I went to college. I was a sociology and a psychology major, which led me to this point here, but I wasn't even pushed to be in either one of those. My sociology, social work agenda came from where I came from when I grew up. Having brothers and sisters, half brothers and sisters, not having a mom in the home, all these different things that I wanted to figure out for myself. So once again, what Darius did, he's not the first, he won't be the last. And again, I'll be the first one. If you reach out to us at prepostgame.com, I would encourage any athlete to recognize that your leverage comes when you're young, not when you're old. The moment that you start playing competitively, where people start paying money to watch you play, your clock is ticking. There are people that has worked 20 years right now that's still going to school to get their education. And none of them are going to be making 6 or 7 figures. None of them will even have the opportunity to make 6 and 7 figures. But these young athletes have the opportunity now. So what do they need? Instead of education, they need character development. Again, going back to that last point, they don't need to go somewhere where they get me to come and work with you. If the JBA or the G League wanted these kids to try to figure out which way they want to play for, you're not going to have someone coming up there with girls and alcohol and drugs to try to convince you to come play for them. But that's what they do in college. So you tell me where the real education is. Go start paying taxes. Learn what it means to be a man. Learn business services. Learn business services that you need. But then he's focusing on his game to be better to make it to the NBA. And that whole thing about 20 hours a week in the NCAA, 20 hours a week meaning 20 hours of the actual coach that they pay to be in front of you. But don't talk about these agendas, these arenas that they got that goes in a circle where up top you got this window, head coach windows over there, assistant coach windows over there, that one's over there. Then you got a camera that's sitting here, and here we are as the players shooting and practicing. But I'm the captain. Since I'm the captain, literally, I'm going to make sure that they're in there for 60 hours throughout that week. But that don't violate NCAA rules because that's what you do in your spare time. But if you don't do that in your spare time, let's see what the results are going to be and how the coach is going to operate when they do get you within 20 hours. They're going to tell you, oh, you're not doing what you're supposed to do. They're going to tell you you're not committed. They're going to tell you you don't really care about the team. Little kids say, I was getting my classwork done, coach. I could tell you what they're going to tell the kid. You're not here to go to class. That's what the NCAA says. It was said to me too, by the way. It's been said to my clients, by the way. It's been said to my clients' kids, by the way. So as you guys see the cycle starting to turn around right now, all these things, you've never seen it before with so much stuff about sports from the college level, the pro level, that's being put out there and it's changing. We like to think that we are a big part of it because, again, you're not going to hear anything that we're saying on the major talk shows like ESPN or the First Things First. This is way over their head. They want to argue about why a kid left to make $9 million in one state versus the next state. I want to argue about why are you getting paid 9 figures to talk about something that you can never do. I want to talk about why people are getting paid to do things and commentate on things and to discuss things and put things out there with no factual basis whatsoever. I want to talk about why 17 to 18-year-old kids is okay for you could tell them that they can sit out a year if they want to leave, but you can tell other grown men who out there to feed their families, they can leave whenever they want to leave. But the kids are the ones that are playing. Their clocks are the one that's ticking. That's what I want to know. But none of those major shows want to discuss that because you're either part of the problem or you're part of the solution. We like to think we're part of the solution. So while we're still talking about college, I want to talk about Shea Patterson. For those of you guys that don't know, Shea Patterson is now the quarterback for the University of Michigan. And he transferred from Ole Miss. He played 6 games for Ole Miss, and he got injured, and he transferred. Ole Miss was a school where you had a lot of infractions regarding money paid to students. Also, their coach, Hugh Freeze, was who was a devout Christian, according to him, who was also fired or the last straw because he basically was calling, I want to say, prostitutes on his work cell phone or his work office phone. So many kids have transferred from there. And so Shea Patterson, who was their quarterback, highly rated 5-star recruit, coming out, could have went to any school he wanted to go to. He went to University of Michigan. As of right now, he's still with his attorney. Again, key phrase, attorney, is fighting to become eligible this year to play for University of Michigan. Now, again, with that being said, Shea Patterson's not the only kid that transferred and wants to be eligible based off of this being misrepresented to a lion or being lied to their family. And the fact that Ole Miss says that Shea Patterson, as they try to hold it up, saying that he wasn't treated a certain way, again, as a former athlete, student athlete, who knows what really goes on, is not only deplorable, but if I was advising a kid or a family regarding Ole Miss, they would never get my signature or stamp of approval again, at least under that current regime. The fact of the matter is, again, what you've done and how you've done going way back to your lack of support or oversight regarding Laramie Tunsil, the young man that ended up with a gas mask, losing millions of dollars in an NFL draft and what goes on over there. Again, at the end of the day, a lot of these African-American kids that come from certain areas going to Mississippi, which is a whole other topic in itself, which is kind of the reason why, again, why do you think some of these kids end up going to Ole Miss when all the things that go on outside of the campus goes on that jeopardize their own danger, their own safety, and have their families wondering if their kids are going to be all right? The fact of the matter is, University of Michigan right now only saying that, oh, Shea is handling his business. How is he handling his business? The school, the university, has not said one thing, one word on Shea regarding, hey, he should be able to play. Hey, he should be eligible. Hey, he should do this and do that. And the reason for it is because every one of the universities is doing the same exact thing. There are some Shea Pattersons on the University of Michigan that want to be freed. But as long as it's beneficial to that actual university, they're not going to say anything. So Mr. Patterson, and again, according to his attorney, saying things are going well. Again, key phrase, attorney. Parents, athletes, just go to my point number 3. You must learn how to basically get representation, official representation, to advocate for you and your son or your daughter when it comes to these universities. It does not matter how many times some coach comes sit in your living room and tell you, I swear, I promise, I'm going to. It's going to be that way. They play the good cop, bad cop. I'm the good cop as the coach. The compliance department is the bad cop, telling you you can't, and you fall for that once again. They tell you you're going to get free room and board. You're going to be your own room. All the things they want to tell you to get you to sign your name. Then all of a sudden they'll deny that they ever said it to your face. I got my eye on a couple coaches right now that sit there and tells kids every day of the week, hey, I'm going to get my check regardless if you're here or not. The NCAA is now basically about to face a lawsuit regarding concussions. Kids do not get concussions in the NFL. They come from high school and they come from college. And I'm curious to see, because I know a young man that got a concussion as of recently, and I just found out that literally that kid got a concussion because that play that was being ran over and over and over and over again. I hope I get to see that tape, because I know who else want to see that tape. For example, if you're talking about a kid that got a concussion, you say it was by accident, or did you want that kid to get a concussion because you didn't like the fact that literally you wanted somebody else to play? So if you ran a 44 ISO or a 29 toss 5 times in a row and the defense knew exactly what it was, did you not expect that kid to get a concussion? But is that kid supposed to stop and not play for the team and not go as hard as he possibly can? Those kids can't think about that stuff. They don't even understand that stuff. And those are the parents. Absolutely. Miss Connolly, parents do get involved when it comes to these kids, and then they talk about they get ratted out. Again, to rat someone out means you know what's going on in these act situations. That means there are people out there that knows what's going on. Basically, as long as these kids can generate revenue for them, they look the other way. And when that kid decides, you know what, I'm no longer going to be your breadwinner, I'm no longer going to support what you want, they want to rat, they want to be the source, they want to leak, they want to do all different things that hurt the kid. But without that kid, you don't have any opportunity to do anything. That includes the university, that includes the NCAA, that includes these runners, and that includes these agents. And like you said, and sometimes it includes some of these kids' families. The moment you recognize a kid is actually going to be successful in sports again, it doesn't matter. That's why I said again, 99% of the players that are coming up in all these major sports, if you're a 16-year-old kid and you throw a 95-mile-an-hour fastball, you're not telling, and the rules even apply in the NCAA, you're not telling this kid not to go to school and get his education while he still throw 95 miles an hour. He's not going to be able to throw that fast forever. When that 95 dropped to 65, 70, then what? Well, at least he went and got his education. At least he went and got his associate's degree so he can go be a gym teacher. Never heard nothing like it in my life. Other students at any other university, regardless of the fact, just take Mark Zuckerberg, for example. If Mark Zuckerberg could not make money and couldn't look to earn revenue for what he was doing, then we wouldn't be sitting here having this conversation right now on Facebook now. But at least we know Mark Zuckerberg is capable of doing something. What are these people doing in the NCAA, the Mark Emmerts of the world, who's making $10 million a year in a not-for-profit organization, who's saying that any kid that wants to play professionally should not come to college? Are you that naive? What would you be making? What would you be doing at this time of your life that paid you $10 million? What skill set did you have that warrants somebody coming to pay hundreds of dollars or thousands of dollars to come watch you play? To do something that only 1% of the people in this world can do. I can do your job, Mark Emmert, better than you. I'm just being frank and honest. Because your job is to oversee universities that basically are there to basically move a model along to protect athletes. And that is not what's happening. Sports is not a game. Sports is all business. The moment an athlete becomes pro or a family becomes pro, when someone else is willing to pay money to watch you play. Therefore, there's a lot of information out there that you're talking about you can use. You can ask this person, you can talk to this person, he can tell you I work with this guy, I work with that guy. But the fact of the matter is, your best protection is you. The real education is read the CBA. Request the college scholarship. If you want to recruit trail right now, call that university. Say, I want a copy of the national letter of intent right now. I'm going to have my attorney review it. You said I'm going to have my own free room and board. I'm going to have my attorney put something together, hand this to you, and you sign it before we even consider even taking another trip to your university. Business go both ways. It's a term called win-win. And the fact of the matter is, like I said again, all these things is happening to these kids. The saddest part about it all, you don't see any of these university coaches, and I understand they got a family to feed. I have a lot of friends in the NCAA, a lot of coaches, a lot of everybody. So I'm never going to ask them to take my position because they can't. But the fact of the matter is, because they can't, let you know what you need to know, that they're not on your side. They can't be. All the rules is written, it's on their side. Why would they say something? You're a kid. They're going to recruit another kid. Like any other business, it's about product. I'm in the sports business. Without athletes, I'm not in business. And not in this business anyway. But that's the fact. That's the fact of the matter. The hardest part of business is recognizing your clients. You have a strict farm system starting as early as 6 and 7 years old, from the AAU circuit to the freaking showcase circuits now. You got all these people like Under Armour and Nike doing all these so-called camps every year, like they really care about what these kids doing. All they're trying to do is basically become the circle of influence for these kids early before they figure it all out. They tell you can come for free. They slap a number on your chest and they tell you, hey, I love you, man. Make sure you tell your other friend how great we are so I can keep getting paid. But the fact of the matter is, whether they recognize it or not, there are other people around there recognizing the least amount of knowledge that the kid has, the better off they're going to be. Because I'm going to be able to get him to sign over his power of attorney to me. I'm going to get him to be able to invest in something that don't make any sense, that don't exist. There's literally people out there calling themselves financial advisors, reaching out to kids that's about to become millionaires overnight, addressing their families by saying to them, oh yeah, I'm a financial advisor. But then they don't realize pre-post game has been in place. So when they say, hey, okay, so what series licenses do you have? What? Excuse me? Series licenses? Oh yes, what's your ADV? Oh yes, what's your FINRA broker check number? I don't have that. So how are you calling me telling me you're a financial advisor? Well, we have a book of business and I work with that guy. Now, I didn't ask you all that, sir. I asked you, how do you call yourself a financial advisor when you're not following the actual rules of engagement in the United States of America regarding securities? That's education. It's unfortunate they didn't learn that in the NCAA or high school. They learned that from the players rep and pre-post game. But then you see after a while, you see all these people talking about, oh, this guy robbed him, this guy robbed that person. They still working in the sports industry. They rotate. I got busted. Okay, you take the lead now. I'm going to play the back. Sports is not a game. Sports is all business. In the meantime, all this stuff while Shea Patterson, his attorney, and their family's paying for it, and you can only say that he's taking care of his business. The fact of the matter is you're still selling his jersey, number 2. But you had a lot of number 2s in stock, didn't you? Since that's the number that Charles Woodson wore. So all you got to do is slap a new name on it, and it's easy money. What they say? Money season. It's horrendous. So on that topic, let's just say Shea Patterson doesn't become eligible. I hope he doesn't. I hope he does. Either way, it works for me because this is the fact of the matter. If Shea Patterson does not play this year at University of Michigan, coming into next year, which will make him his third year out of high school, which that's the rule. 3 years out of high school, you are now eligible to be drafted in the National Football League. There are many pundits and many different organizations that rate Shea Patterson today as a first-round pick as of next year. If Shea Patterson doesn't play this year and he's still rated as a top 25, 30 pick next year, that means he done played six games in college and got drafted in the National Football League. By protecting his body, by not getting hit all those times, you just opened up a door in Pandora's box you will never be able to close again. Or Shea Patterson becomes eligible when he's talked about he's being berated by other coaches, lied to about certain things. There's hundreds of thousands of players that have the same story every single day. And I can tell you for a fact, not only as a former athlete that went through it, but we have clients that are going through it today. So it's not going to be hard to tell when we're talking about when it comes to not a court of public opinion, the court of law, about actually what's going into how these actual universities, how these schools, how these coaches, and how this NCAA continues to disparage, lie to, and manipulate minors. How they continue to manipulate their own rules and regulations because there's no one there to protect their own best interest until now, as the player starts to say, you know what, you have the leverage, you have the power, you always have, you always will. Sports is not a game. Sports is all business. So let's do a little bit education piece. So with that being said, we're talking about today is the NFL draft coming up in a couple weeks. So we talk about, a lot of times people ask me about the NFL 50 option and what it is and how it actually works. So again, for the 50 option, for people who don't know, in the NFL, if you're drafted based off the current CBA, which was revised in 2011, the last time that Stan Bradford got $50 million guaranteed as the top quarterback. The previous year, the following year, Cam Newton was a 4-year guy with $22 million with a 5th-year option. Now, once again, going back to the college, going back to the pros, all these rules, and again, who do they benefit? All these rules is being placed. When you're now in the NFL, you have a players union, yet all these rules still benefit the actual organization and the teams. Without the players, they would not have any of this revenue being generated. How is the 5th-year option benefiting the team? Well, for one, like I said, the rule already says from a college standpoint, you got to be out of high school 3 years to be draft eligible. That means you had to go through 3 years of a sport. That's brutal. Then you get to that next point, and then now if you're great at what you do, one of the best in the country, you now have to go in for 4 years with a team 5th-year option. So that's essentially 9 years of playing. So what the 5th-year option means is after year 3 of your contract, the team can say, I'm going to pick up your 5th year, meaning they haven't did a long-term extension with you yet. They don't want you to hit free agency. So essentially they say, we're going to pick up your 5th-year option. So the team, kids is in their 3rd year going to their 4th year going, and they pick it up early. That's simply saying that if you get to your 5th year, they're going to pay you an average of the top 10 people in your position salary-wise. So, for example, Leonard Williams for the New York Jets got his 5th-year option picked up today. And that's just saying that his 5th-year option is worth $14 million in year 5. And again, if the only thing that guarantees up to this point is that if he got injured next year, then the Jets will all have to pay him that $14.6 million. But again, they still have up to, I think, the beginning of next year to change their mind. So even going into year 4, they basically be like, well, we changed our mind. Team could change their mind. The player is still locked in to that 4th year with that 5th-year option under that $14 million. So again, that's almost like setting the tone or the bar from there. So again, if he gets to the 5th-year option, they don't extend him. He plays the 5th-year option. They can also now put him under a franchise tag for the 6th year, which essentially is the same thing as the 5th-year option. So now again, all that leverage still belongs to the actual team. Who signed these agreements? Who created these agreements? Well, the NFL Players Union did that. Those contracts, those agreements do not benefit the player whatsoever. Once again, your leverage comes when you're younger, not when you're older. So in a career in a league where you have 2.9 years as the average, you now have me locked in for 4 to 5 at first. And then a lot of teams are trying to offer these guys 5 to 6 year contracts after the fact. Kirk Cousins just showed you guys the blueprint. No, I'm not taking no 5-year contract. 3 years, 84 to 90 million fully guaranteed. Again, fully guaranteed versus guaranteed. Check out a couple of my videos back and you'll see where I explain to you, teach you what guaranteed versus fully guaranteed mean. But since I'm talking about it now, I'll just say, hey, I guarantee your contract if you don't wake up late. I guarantee your contract if you don't show up to work late 3 times late between now and December. I guarantee your contract if you don't fall and trip on some ice and bump your head. I guarantee it. I guarantee you get this contract is $2 million in bonus if you play 16 games. But then your team says at game 15, the business side comes over and say, I think his knee is a little swollen. We're going to hold him out today because we want to see if this rookie over here can play. But that kid signed that contract because, again, that's what his agent pushed in front of him and said, hey, it's a great deal. Because you as a player did not read the CBA. You and the player didn't invest in your own business knowing that you've been trying to be in the NFL since you was 9 years old. Information is there. I'm making sure it's out there now. My company is, and that's what we do. The players rep here to educate and empower, protect the athlete and the family's best interest and theirs alone. For consultation, reach out to us at prepostgame.com. You can follow me here on the Players Rep 1. You can follow me on Twitter, the Players Rep 1, on Instagram, the Players Rep 1. You can check us out every Wednesday on African American Athlete Radio Podcast, 6 p.m. to 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. We'll get you right. We're in this for you. We've been where you want to be. At the end of the day, it's believe what they see when they show you the first time. If someone asks you a question, I tell people all the time, how do you protect yourself in this business? Education and power protection. I hope to think that when you guys get on this show and sit here and give me an hour of your life, that I did all 3 of those things, that I educate you, that I teach you something that you didn't know already, that I empower you, that I tell you something that you can do for yourself to help you put you in a better situation going forward. And then I teach you about protecting you in certain areas, the things that come into this business that's going to happen regardless. If I didn't do those things, or if somebody else not doing those things, you should turn off your TV or turn off this live, no waste your time, and you should stop listening to people that's trying to tell you things that literally do not provide all the above. Because they're trying to sell you something. I said that today. In life, you either selling or you being sold. To be successful, it's your job to figure out how to make both work for you the majority of the time. That's what we're trying to do for you here. So the 50 option, like I said again, is if you play first round, if you're a second round pick that does not apply to you, the team doesn't have 50 option, you now are required to be held for 4 years. So in essence, you talk about this upcoming draft class in the position of quarterback. Usually a lot of teams want to try to get the quarterbacks in the first round because that gives you the automatic 5th year where you can control that salary and keep it low. So for example, if he might be a projected second round quarterback, but if a team could trade back, get you in the first round and give you an extension, an extra year. So a lot of teams do that because it's team friendly. So again, even though I got drafted in the first round, it really would have been better off for that quarterback to be drafted in the second round because it gives him more leverage going forward. So being the 31st pick in the first round versus the 34th pick in the second round, as a player, you'd rather be the second round pick because, again, you now have control of your own body and business going forward in a shorter amount of time. Well, like I said, NFL is not guaranteed contracts simply because, again, at the end of the day, you not negotiating on your own behalf. If somebody tells you we're going to give you long-term security, but it says a 6-year, $120 million contract, but only $45 million guaranteed, that's the point. You didn't have to sign 6 years. Why would you? It's not guaranteed. Look at Des Bryant's situation. This happens over and over and over again. Look at Ndamukong Suh. I said this publicly years ago that neither one of them is going to see that amount of money. But again, players too busy throwing up signs and dancing and not recognizing how much of a business it really is. Yet you hear them tell you this after the fact every single time. You do not have to wait to become 25, 30, or 40 to recognize and educate yourself. You would like to think the people in the NCAA, for all those kids about to get drafted right now, you would think before they got drafted, they would have had a letter from the National Football League telling you the rules and regulations pertaining to their actual players union regarding to things such as compensation fees, regarding agents and financial advisors and all different things that go along with that. You would think they would do that. If they were doing that, pre-post game wouldn't exist. Or if they did, I'd probably be working for them right now. But they don't. So that's why we're here again. Sports is not a game. Sports is all business. 2018, people, you got to recognize that literally, when it comes to an athlete and the ability to make money and to generate revenue, to build your brand, to build your platform, to market yourself, all the things that literally people are going to come up to you once you become pro and tell you they can do this and do that, it literally can be done yourself. It takes hard work, yes. It takes commitment, yes. It takes understanding, it takes character, it takes all the things you should be wanting to get in the first place. All the things that everybody said that they want, but literally everybody that's around you don't seem to exemplify that, unfortunately. The next week, 2 weeks from now, April 25th to 28th, is NFL Draft in Dallas, Texas. Lamar Jackson, again, I'm going on air to say it again, Lamar Jackson will be a first-round NFL draft pick. Many pundits previously said that he would not be. In the next week or so, I'm going to also do some more research to talk to you guys about alternatives to the NCAA, not only in basketball, which I mentioned a couple today, whether it's the G League or the JBA, Junior Basketball Association. There's also the NBL, National Basketball League, that from Australia, that pays, lottery potential draft pick kids up to $78,000 a year to go overseas and play. You also have China, but then now the AA, or American Football Alliance, is coming out in 2019 along with the XFL. I'm kind of trying to figure out what their actual rules and regulations are going to be pertaining to, one, the compensation, two, the age limit that you have to be when you go out there, and three, obviously, at the same time, how long they have to be committed to play in that actual league, and will they basically be able to play separate or get prepared or get healthy prior to the upcoming NFL draft. It's all business. When I mentioned JBA in the G League, if the top 64 athletes that play basketball coming out of Under Armour All-American game and the McDonald's All-American game right now decide to not go to the NCAA, it's over. So Darius would not be making $26,000 anymore because all the revenue for people that watch these kids play would now go to another market, the market of the JBA or the market of the G League. So that's why, again, it's not an exploitation standpoint in the NBA or JBA, because at the end of the day, they're paying you to play basketball. They're telling you. You are a professional. They're not telling you that, hey, we're going to give you an education while we basically make all this money off you. That's exploitation. That's what the NCAA does. But at the end of the day, whether they was these same kids that's jumping through the roof and these kids that throw 75 yards, whether they did it for the NCAA or did it for the XFL, it's not going to matter. Sports is a pastime in this country. It always has been, always will be. It's time for the players and their families to recognize their leverage and their power, protect themselves. Because don't expect the coach, don't expect the university. They're going to tell you what you want to hear, not what you need to know, all the way through till you put your signature on that paper. Before you do that, get consultation. Before you do that, hire someone such as ourselves to sit there with you and ask the questions that need to be asked. We will have no issue sitting in your living room. You're a 5-star recruit, you 6'5", you 215 pounds, you run a 4.443. Your future is bright. Nick Saban wants you to play for him. Jim Harbaugh wants you to play for him. Urban Meyer wants you to play for him. But guess what? What do you want? Who do you want to play for and why? We present that to you. We protect you in that. If every kid from the University of Alabama decide to go and play for the Villanova football team, they'll have two back-to-back, two champions in different sports. You could leave Nick Saban in Alabama. It wouldn't matter. You could take Villanova and put them at UMBC in their uniforms. They'll beat Virginia 5 times in a row. It wouldn't matter. You could leave Jay Wright where he is. I thank you guys for your time. My name is Robert T. Green. I'm the CEO of Pre-Post Game. You can check us out at prepostgame.com. Remember to tune in and turn on your notifications every Wednesday, 6 p.m. to 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. African American Athlete Radio Podcast, sponsored by the African American Athlete, presented by Pre-Post Game. Yours truly, the Players Rep, here to educate and empower, protect the athletes and their families' best interests. Follow me on Facebook, the Players Rep, Twitter, the Players Rep 1, Instagram, the Players Rep 1. Thank you guys, and God bless. Have a great weekend.